I can't feel my mouth.
That's your pull quote from the beginning right there.
I can't feel my mouth anymore.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Not Once. It's the show that we're completely plagiarizing and to have a chance to get to know some of our friends a little bit better while we sit down and enjoy a delicious plate of chicken wings. I'm Dave, and today I'm joined by Brent Sheppard. He's, among many other hidden talents, an actor, a musician, and an officiant. You may know him from his roles in The X-Files and Ski School 2, his time with Glad Tidings, or just as that guy who would not shut up during your best friend's wedding. Brent Sheppard, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
Now, the impression that I got was that you saw the episode we did featuring your daughter Tiffany, and were just so inspired to jump straight into the hot seat yourself. According to some witnesses, you were moved to tears. Is that true?
I learned things about my daughter I never know.
So, how are you feeling about this one going in, and how are you with spicy foods?
I think I'm good with spicy foods, but listening to other people, I'm a bit nervous now.
Well,
but nervous is good. Nervous is what makes us alive, right?
Well, I guess we'll see how we go. There's not much else to do but jump in. So sauce number one on the first chicken wing down here is sauce-based skinny habanero hot sauce.
So what do I do? Just eat the whole thing?
Either one. So big topic this year is the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously.
Right.
So I'd like to start by just asking a few questions about the last few months. Now, when all this madness broke out first in March, a lot of people immediately went into quarantine and self-isolation. And events were getting canceled left, right, and center. But gradually, as it started to get a little better, we started opening up and doing a little bit more socially distanced things. How have you noticed couples been adapting things for their special day, and have you gotten to experience any COVID-19 safe weddings for yourself?
Well, firstly, I was in Japan for Lowell's birthday. My brother's birthday. Had to come home early to 3 months of no weddings. That hasn't happened to me in 30 years. And then wedding season, everything got shifted to 2021. And then the couples that stayed with their wedding dates are doing what we call now micro ceremonies, which is saving them a ton of money. Instead of 200 guests, they're down to 30 to 40 guests. So that was the first thing, just the numbers. And then when you go to the wedding, and this is what's hard for me as a performer, I like a packed room. But you've got like 7 or 8 people, and they're all spaced apart. So that's been a challenge, is to play a smaller room, read a smaller room, and adapt to that. And so far, it's going pretty good. So, and I think that's probably the only good thing I can see out of all this is that we learned some safety protocols in terms of our health. Washing your hands, not a bad thing.
Should we jump on to number 2? From Brooklyn, New York, this is Shaquanda's hot pepper sauce.
From where? New York?
Mm-hmm. Brent, I would be remiss if I didn't take a wing to ask you about your role as Steve Longwood in the cult classic Ski School 2, a movie that was once described as the Rashomon of ski-sploitation movies.
Well, it should have won an Oscar.
Naturally, a movie called Ski School 2 is going to feature a lot of skiing sequences. So how much of Steve's slope runs were skiing double, and how much was pure Shep?
Anything in the air, any aerials were not done by me, and most of the other stuff was. Anything where my feet are skiing, I'm on the ground, the fast skiing, the ski bys. That was me, but anything aerials, the moguls, fields, that kind of stuff was done by a stunt double guy. Actually, there was a gal who did some skiing, but she was skiing for my romantic interest lead, Heather's. She was doing Heather's stuff. She was amazing.
How much time did you spend both in the makeup chair, getting ready, and then just wandering around wearing little more than paint, feathers, and a sexy pair of red boxers?
Well, I made the mistake on the first day of Ski School 2 of not putting something on my lips to protect them from the glazier, the UVs. And when we finally took a break at day 5, I had a 3-day break, and in that time, my lips completely blistered, and you can see it in the dance scene. And Dave Mitchell wanted to do this nice roll up on me as I watched my nemesis come in, and you can see it there. But the makeup artist did an amazing job. And seriously, I had 5 big blisters, cold sores, and she did an amazing job of camouflaging and making it palatable. And then this big scene rolls up on me. My lips kind of look blue in the final take, kind of a bluish tinge to them. So to answer your question, that was a challenge. And when I came on set, Dave, the director, goes, "What the hell happened to you? It's like you've been necking with a chainsaw." But I was just, as far as the makeup chair, how do you improve on perfection?
Touche, sir.
Touche.
Rachel Lickman once tweeted, "Went shopping yesterday. Apparently the hot looking for men in the new season is the mean preppy guy from Ski School 2. How does it feel to have such like a character that's just linked to such staying power and such timeless fashion sense?
Oh, come on. I've never heard that. Is that true?
That's true.
I don't know what to say to that because I didn't pick my... Actually, no, I didn't pick any of the wardrobe. That was all wardrobe. I just dressed whatever they gave me to wear. Which was a lot of Sun Ice stuff back then, and the Gore-Tex, yeah. So,
are we ready for number 3? Lucky Dog's Year of the Dog Thai Chili Pineapple Hot Sauce.
okay. I'm going to follow your lead. How are you doing it?
So I always did the old twist, and then you just pull out this bone over here.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
That one comes off, and then it's just a quick, and it's gone. So you've been an officiant since 1992 and have presided over hundreds, if not thousands, of weddings. In your opinion, are the big lavish ceremonies really all that necessary, or is it just the couple coming in and them celebrating their special day that matters?
If the couple has money and you can afford it, go for it. It's a party. You're celebrating the journey of two people, their story. The biggest wedding I ever did was about $250,000 budget. And most weddings are around the $35,000 to $40,000 mark in today's market. Their bar tab was $40,000 when they were done. And she was this beautiful fashion model. He was a chef from Paris. I mean, just absolutely stunning bridal party. They were all models. And so that was, I mean, that's the higher end. The best wedding I think I ever did was a couple who got married at the Brock House, $5,000. And that included everybody and a little stand-up cocktail on the beach, 50 guests. This was, 10 years ago. Instead of a limo, they hired an RV and made that that was their honeymoon vehicle, but they also brought the whole bridal party and got dressed up in the RV. And I was very impressed with that couple. $5,000, they did everything. Now, they did a party at her parents that night, but the Brock House event was very, very classy, but on a $5,000 budget. You can do it.
Can you see with the recent pandemic as a catalyst for people deciding, maybe we should just start scaling back our weddings?
You pick the people you really want there, your inner circle, not mums and mine's inner circle, because that's where it starts to snowball. And suddenly you've gone from 50 guest list to 200, and that's where the expense gets in. As far as dresses go and the outfits, I mean, Tracy bought a wedding dress after our second date. Told me on our third date, scared the crap out of me.
Speaking of, I mean, you and your wife Tracy have been together for nearly 40 years now. First, what's the secret to a long and healthy relationship, and what advice do you have for the newlywed couples beginning their lives together?
Well, first of all, I got lucky. I married my best friend. So that's where it starts. You got to really know that you've got that friendship to take into the marriage, and one of you has to be more giving than the other, or forgiving, I guess you could say. Because there's give and take back and forth, and I just married a tremendously patient woman who's been patient with me and my artistic quirks. What I say every weekend is two things about marriage, and there's more than two, is A, keep the conversation going. As soon as that conversation dries up, the relationship can dry up. But secondly, sharing the same dream. And sometimes, I'll encourage Tracy to pursue a dream, she'll help me pursue mine. But when you share the same dream, like this little acreage we're working on, and my dad taught me this, it brings you together and it points you both in the same direction, and you find yourself on the same trail walking towards that horizon. And the dream, I think, brings the element of adventure and hope and passion. So that's real key. The conversation and sharing the same dreams are important.
So this next sauce is the hallmark of the Hot Ones brand. It's Los Calientes hot sauce.
I'll just go for it.
Now with this wing, while we're blatantly stealing their show and their sauce idea, we're going to go all in and shamelessly rip off their idea for a game called Explain That Graham, where we do a deep dive through your online photos and pull out a few that might need a little bit of extra explanation. Sound good?
Okay, what do we got? That's Tracy on the trailer. We pulled up here and yeah, we did the Beverly Hillbillies impersonation with Tracy up top in a rocking chair. And that big pile of debris. That was right over there. Oh, that was the best day ever. I got to arrest my daughter. What film was that? She was still working on an indie, and they asked me to come in and play the ranger. And yeah, I gave her a good push, put her on the hood of that thing, cuffed her, smacked her out of it. It was awesome.
Now, this one I like because I blatantly remember watching this ad when it came out. What can you tell me about your anniversary dinners at A&W?
After I did the audition for that, I said to Tracy, I phoned Tracy, I said, that's it, I'm done. I just suck. I'll never do another acting job again. And they called me back. And that commercial, if it had gone U.S. national, I'd be super wealthy, but it went across Canada. And the signature phrase was the end when I say fancy schmancy. And the director's trying to find an ending. And he says, okay, yeah, you eat or fried. Try saying fancy schmancy. And the whole production crew said, no, come on. So we did it once. We moved on. And when I went back to shoot another A&W commercial, the producer says, Brent, that absolutely, the term viral was kind of new back then. But he says it just went like signature across the country. Everybody was saying. And I had a couple say to me, can you say fancy schmancy in our wedding? And I'm like, really? Nobody's going to get it. It was in a church, a religious setting. And I'm trying to think, where am I going to put this in? And when they kissed, I went, oh, I said fancy schmancy, thinking we'd giggle. The place just erupted in applause. I almost got to stand and go, fancy schmancy. People were chanting it at a wedding in a church. Weird.
And the last one.
That was a good commercial. Yeah, that little guy there. I think I'm about 12. I look like I'm 6, but I'm holding a dog named Riley. Yeah, luckily my parents saw that I loved music, and like one day my grandma gave me some money for my 9th birthday. We went to England for a year, and I bought my first guitar. And I learned to play. Taught myself to play guitar. And then I did a little album of my own of 45 with 6 songs on it. This little kid had a voice. I had a good set of pipes on me back then, little kid. And when we toured across England for a year, my dad would sell those little 45s of me singing. And a lot of times it bought us our fish and chips at night. That's how we kind of, I never did get royalties.
Full disclosure, this is the jump where it starts to go downhill pretty quickly from here on out. We're starting to get into the slightly hotter sauces. If you find it a really rough road at some point, I'm really sorry.
You're apologizing now? The problem is I can't see the sauce, and that's what concerns me.
It's in there.
It's in there?
This sauce is called Hellfire Detroit's Habanero Hot Sauce. And since you've been a reverend for a lot of years, I would love to ask you a couple of questions about faith. First and foremost, it feels like nowadays a lot more people are coming out and identifying as either just atheist or agnostic. So I was wondering if I could ask you, just what are people misunderstanding about the concept of faith?
Well, and this is not my original interpretation. I know I've read this somewhere else, but the idea of faith is beautiful. I think we're all born with it. Little kids, you see it in their eyes. What do you want to be? I want to be an astronaut. They just don't even think about it. So faith, the idea of believing in something, is beautiful. When faith becomes a system of belief, then it moves into the realm of religion, which is man-made in my opinion. I think faith is something we all have. Whether even atheism is a faith system, or a belief system. But faith in itself is a beautiful thing. But we've seen in the world when it evolves into a religious structure, and I'm right and you're wrong. Now you've got a world of conflict. But the idea of God, and the other thing else I've learned about faith, I learned from my mom as well, is that faith needs to evolve. And luckily I've got some amazing people in my life, my daughters, my wife, and our faith has evolved. I'm not the same faith history that I was as the little boy in that little picture you just showed me. So faith needs to evolve and grow. It needs to be shaped by science and knowledge, because you learn things as you go through life that mold how you believe and what you believe in. So.
Are you able to draw similarities between that understanding of faith, I guess, and just the higher power of being out there, with the sort of Zen understanding of being present in our everyday lives? Like, I can come out to a place like this, absolutely beautiful landscape, and just stop and take a moment to really appreciate it. And to me, it's that sort of sense of just being present. Is it sort of like that for you? Or
it is. When we bought this acreage, and I would tell people that in the city I'm doing weddings, there's just so much spiritual noise, and then you come up here, and I call it the inner whisper. I'm hearing my inner heart again, my soul, my spirit beat, I guess you'd call it, because there's just so much noise in life. And so to come up here to the forest, the wind in the trees, I could hear my spirit again. And that's been missing for a lot of years. And which is why my wife and I love it up here so much. So, yeah. The funny, if there is a God and there's creation, something that God created a daisy, and the little kid inside him said, do it again. Like when you throw your kid up in the air, Daddy, do it again. And that's where and I like that idea of God. If there is a physical person, you could kind of say that about, he created a daisy, and oh, that's awesome. And the little voice said, do it again. Yeah, just, there's something, we had daisies, and I like that. I like that idea, that picture.
Now, this next sauce is Wilshire Farms Trinidad Scorpion Hot Sauce.
Am I going to cry?
Maybe?
I'm feeling rather emotional. Now, that has a bit of a boomerang effect.
That one has a boomerang kick. That one you sort of feel. This, to me, like I say, is where it starts to come up, and this is where we get sort of the next part of the challenge of the wings.
I can feel the little bead of sweat.
And speaking of new adventures, your next adventure is a trip that you've dubbed the Bowron Loco. So take us through the project. What is it? How did it come into being? And how has it evolved?
My best friend Patrick has done the Bowron canoe circuit. Oh yeah, there it is. He's done it twice, and he's been after me for years to do it, but I can never do it because it's during wedding season. And I have an older brother who's doing a trip he's preparing for to sail solo from Tokyo to Vancouver at the age of 67, 68. And when I came home from Japan, instead of doing 100 weddings, I had 10. So suddenly I had time on my hands. So I said to Patrick, I knew he was going to do it anyway. So let's do this. And I've never been in a kayak in my life. Tiffany videotaped me trying to get in and out. It's hilarious. So talk about learning something new at 60 years of age. And we didn't do Bowron in June. We did Myrtle Lake instead because Bowron was closed due to COVID. I don't understand that at all. So now we're doing Bowron on September 15th in about a month's time. And I'm looking forward to it because Myrtle Lake was a 100-kilometer challenge. It was great. Bowron's going to kick it up a notch. And I'm going to do something I've never done. And again, I think in life we need these horizons. And my brother is a great example of a man who's not afraid to take on a challenge. So his is called Pacific Soul. I call it my Bowron Loco. And when Patrick asked Tim, can I bring my buddy Brent? The way Patrick described me, I was quite flattered. He's not a complainer. And wet and miserable, I'm not going to complain like I want to right now.
Okay, Brent, so here we are. We're well over the halfway mark, and we're staring down the back half of the Wings of Death, and the next stop is De Bombe Beyond Insanity. Full disclosure, no one thinks it's fun. Okay. But are you ready?
Nope.
Are you going to do it anyway?
Yeah.
All right.
It's this one here?
Yeah.
Okay. Trying to define that flavor.
There isn't one.
No.
Now, I was told that when you were watching Tiffany's episode, you were also really interested in the quiz that she did about MASH. And you were curious about how you could do, now that you're starting to feel the effects of the hot sauces coming in. But we've already done MASH.
Okay.
So instead of talking about the 4077, we're going to do a deep dive into your love of 007 and all things James Bond. Are you ready?
You're ready. Let's go.
Right. So, we all know that Sir Sean Connery was the original film version of James Bond, but who was the second actor to play him?
Roger Moore.
No, George Lazenby.
It was George Lazenby.
In the film, Live and Let Die, one of Bond's gadgets is a magnetic wristwatch, but how does he test it out? Stealing M's keys, deflecting bullets on the range, or unzipping a dress?
Unzipping a dress.
Mrs. Crusoe's dress the second he leaves the room. Over the course of 24 films...
Holy cow.
It's there.
It's in there.
Yeah, it's there.
Over the course of the 24 films, Bond is at deflex his license to kill 405 times. But of them all, which 007 actor has the highest kill count?
Timothy Dalton, I think.
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan.
Very big in the 90s of just popping out from nowhere and just mowing down a room full of people with an Uzi.
Oh,
and his numbers just went right up through the roof. Use your cloth. Don't use your use your napkin. Don't use your hands.
Don't use your hands? Okay. I'm good.
We have medical personnel waiting by, but I don't want to have to call her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just right there. I'm sweating. It's wonderful. I can't feel my mouth. I can't feel my mouth anymore.
So, this is number 8. This is Blair's Mega Death Sauce. Whenever you're ready, we can jump on in.
This one here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the back-to-back tastings of De Bombe and now Blair's Mega Death Sauce tend to be pretty overwhelming for a lot of people. So, in an attempt to really check in and see how you're doing, I'm just going to ask you a couple of easy questions to see how you do.
Okay.
So, as we discussed earlier, you played Steve Longwood in the '94 movie Ski School 2.
Yeah.
It was a movie starring people like Dean Cameron, Heather Campbell, Will Sasso, and Wendy Hamilton.
Yeah.
So, my question for you is, who directed the film?
David Mitchell.
Oh, okay, so you're fine.
Yeah, fine.
You're fine, you're good.
David Peltier was our DP, great guy. And Will Sasso, though, Will Sasso, that was one of his first as well. And boy, he went on to do very well with Mad TV. He did an audition for a commercial, and he just went totally off script. And the director of commercial phoned his buddy. He says, "You're still doing Mad TV. You got to see this guy." And that's how that was his catalyst.
Really?
Yeah. To Will's credit, we did an audition workshop with Sid Kozak, the orchestra from CBC, and he gave us each this really serious scene about telling someone that someone's dead. And when Will did it, was hilarious. And Sid's like, "Hey, come on, take this." And Will says, "Sir, I only want to do comedy. So no matter what you give me." So he stuck to that. And sometimes that's important, to stick to what you want to be, what you want to do. I moved around a bit, but that's a good lesson to learn. Pick a role and just be you in that role. And he fortunately got off to the right start.
Well, clearly there's still some left in you, and I'm happy to report some great news. There's only 2 wings left.
I think I'm having an out-of-body experience. My head's over here somewhere, floating away.
It happens. So are you ready for number 9?
Sure.
Pucker Butt's Chocolate Plague.
What's it called?
Pucker Butt's
Pucker
Chocolate
Butt.
Plague.
That's the boomerang effect. An hour finale. Pucker Butt. Cheers. Here's to your prostate.
Thank you. I appreciate your concern for it now. So initially the concept for this interview was that we were going to sit down with both you and your best friend Patrick Wallace, but I was told quite early on that there was some fears that the hot sauce might actually kill him, which would bring to an end your 40-year friendship. And since 40 years is a pretty long time for a friendship, the obvious question is, how did you two meet?
Well, through both our families being involved in missionary work, and he was born and raised in Japan along with my sister-in-law Candy. So those two families, the Betchens and the Wallace, were always tight, and the Sheppards were tight with both as well. And he's got a great sense of humor. He's an entrepreneur like me, and he's a great listener. He's 5 years older than me, so I consider him a mentor. The Japanese term is senpai, and I very much consider him in that role. And likewise, there's times where he just needs to talk as well. And that's a friendship, right? You learn to listen, the art of listening. Sometimes you just need someone to listen so you can rant and rave. And that builds the friendship. So
what would you say is the secret to maintaining a long-term friendship then? And most importantly, what role do foot massages play?
He's the only man that whose feet I will rub, and I let him rub mine, and it freaks out a lot of my other friends. Because rubbing feet, man, that's intimate. Like washing feet, Jesus washed feet. To share that with somebody, and the love of reflexology, foot massage, I think is again something that we share. So there's that idea of a shared passion, a shared dream that keeps the relationship moving forward, and discovering new things. And yeah.
Now, in the event that it is Pucker Butt's Chocolate Plague that does you in, how terrified are you of Patrick's eulogy?
If I was to die, what he would say about me? Oh.
Because there's no chance for rebuttal.
No, I'll just say, hey, when I die, I hope people have a good laugh. Go ahead and have a good giggle and a good chuckle. And because humor and laughter, tears are one way of healing, but laughter is also part of the grieving, the healing process. And as far as diarrhea is hereditary. It runs in your genes.
Well, here we are.
What's that?
We've managed to make it through to the last wing. There's only one thing standing between you and the finish line, and that's Hot One's famous Last Dab XXX sauce. Now, they call it the Last Dab because it's tradition to put a little bit extra on your last wing, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
Hit me.
No, that's all you.
You're going to let me do it.
Perfect. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Oh, we are. I can feel it, huh? It makes you want to talk. Holy crap. Makes you want to talk like a Frenchman. Huh?
Well. Looks like it's the board's empty. We've done 10 chicken wings
Suffering
up.
brings you closer together.
10
buddy.
chicken wings up, 10 chicken
We're
wings
suffering
down.
together.
And I
Wow.
only have one last challenge for you after clearing the board.
Woo.
You've presided over thousands of weddings,
Yes.
celebrations of life ceremonies, delivered speeches and sermons
Survived thousands of mother-in-laws
all over the world.
all over the world.
Now, with 2 million Scoville units running through and taking control of the wheel,
2 million what?
2 million Scoville units.
That's what it's called, a Scoville unit?
That's how they measure heat.
Okay, that's the word of the day.
With 2 million
Oh.
Scoville units, there's one last thing I would love for you to do.
I am not a criminal.
Stare down the barrel of the camera
Why did
and
I
let's
say
hear just a short, small sermon about your experience of doing not ones.
What? Of hot ones? Of this?
Of not ones, yeah.
Ooh. That's good. Life is like a hot wing, isn't it? Whew. I can't think of anything. I'm drawing a blank, man. That's rare for me. Because that's just sitting right at the back there. I love you, man.
I love you too.
Whew.
Brent,
So I don't know what to say. Look down the barrel. Hey, you know what? This has been good. And my idea of the word church is what we just did. It's not about going to a building or putting on a suit and tie or singing songs. It's just about sharing your life with somebody. And this is a great way to share a moment, to share a story, become part of a story. This is what I think the core idea of the word church should be. Just a meal and a good friend. And Guinness.
Amen.
Let us break Guinness together.
Brent Sheppard, look at you, you Bowron Loco. You've flown through the wings of death with very few problems. There's absolutely nothing left for you to do except look straight down the barrel of the camera and let people know what you got going on in your life.
Life is good. I'm 60. I'm healthy. I've got great friends. To be 60 and to know that there are certain people that you just know have your back is a wonderful thing. They're your friends, and at the end of the journey, I think it's all about the friendships and the relationships we build. And I'm glad you're part of my story.
Thank you very much.
You make it interesting. Whew. We're gonna go jump in a lake.
Can I go
I'm gonna
mouth?
go drink the lake.
Can I go mouth first?